So give us an idea of how big STS or Shanghai Toy Show is.
It's
It's
designer
pretty
con
big.
on crack.
Oh my gosh, I don't care how I don't care about the hows. I don't care how it has to happen. I'm just coming from the collector's side, Jack. Spoil
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I don't care
Yeah.
about the finances making profit. Just wow us.
Yeah.
I saw artists that were just starting in the toy scene last year, and then this year it's like, oh, they have 10 toys, and they have like a huge booth, and they have, life-size versions of their toy. And
Hey, toy family! Welcome to the Marsham Toy Hour, where we discuss anything and everything designer toys. I'm Gary Ham.
I'm Teresa Hawkins.
And Teresa, it's late for you, 11 o'clock on the East Coast, almost 8 o'clock for me. George isn't joining. So last weekend was STS, which is the Shanghai Toy Show. It's a huge 3-day toy event put on by the awesome people from Mart. So what we thought we would do is recap that event. So joining us this evening are two people that were fortunate enough to attend, Jack Muramatsu of the toy blog Vinyl Pulse and artist extraordinaire Candy Bolton. Welcome, Jack and Candy.
hi.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on such short notice. I imagine your planes probably landed just yesterday. You guys are probably a little bit jet lagged.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
a little.
Just well, I promise we'll do our best to keep you guys awake, but if you need to take a nap, please just let me know. So, Jack, you've actually never been on the show before.
Nope.
And Candy, I believe it's been a couple of years. You're probably one of our first early guests, and you've really exploded since we last talked to you. So congratulations on all your success.
Oh, thank you.
But what I want to have you guys on today, let's talk some Shanghai Toy Show. So I guess let's go from the beginning to the end first before you decide to go to the event. How did you decide to attend there? Were you invited as guests, or is this just a personal thing you wanted to go out to and attend?
I was trying to remember that today, actually. I don't remember how it happened, but Awesome Toy was going to have a booth there, and then I got invited through that way, I believe. And now I'm working with UCC. I just created a new toy through them, and so they wanted to debut it at Shanghai Toy Show.
Now, you're throwing out the acronyms early, Candy. I know what it stands for, but for our listeners, what does UCC stand for?
The Unusual
Something like
Creation
that.
Club, yeah.
Okay. And the piece that they produce is your latest one, which is the
Is it
unicorn.
the unicorn?
Yeah, Aura, the unicorn.
Not just a unicorn, it's like a captured unicorn.
Yeah, Unicorn in Captivity is her title. So she has like the collar around her neck. It's based on a medieval painting or a tapestry, actually, of a unicorn that's been captured, and it's like in a pen and like chained up.
It's beautiful. And you sculpted that one, right?
Yeah, it's the first Sofubi toy that I've ever sculpted.
Wow, it turned out fantastic. And this is tricky because we need to talk about STS, but I want to talk more on that. But maybe we'll have you rejoin and we can talk about we can just catch up on everything you've done the past couple of years. But Jack, so you went to STS as well, and you were there last year, and you went again this year. Are you going out as a guest, or are you just going out personally?
That's a good question. So last year, well, at the end of 2017, so DCon 2017, I was thinking about, what should I do? Because I like to do like one international show a year at least. And so I was thinking, what should I do? I was talking to Jones from Paradise Toys, and I was like, maybe I'll do Taipei Toy Festival. And he's like, I think you should do Shanghai Toy Show. And I'm like, at that time, it hadn't even been announced. They had just done Beijing Toy Show for the first time. And I was like, okay. And so he set me up with them. I talked to them, and they graciously were able to fund part of my trip.
Oh, nice.
So I went out there and really enjoyed it last year. This year, made it part of sort of my trip budget. And so I went out there on my own.
Okay. And you're doing another one coming up pretty soon, aren't you? You're doing Thailand as well?
Yeah. And I think Candy's doing that as well.
Yeah.
Are you
we'll both
serious?
be there.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we'll both be there.
Man,
I'm
jealous.
painting for it right now as we speak.
You guys are world travelers. You guys, Candy, you've done a bunch of Asian conventions in the last couple of years.
Yeah, actually, I primarily go to Asian shows, and then I only go to like DCon.
Wow.
So I know like some of our events here, like there tend to be different pass types, right? There's regular attendee badges, and then exhibitor and press and all that. Is it the same thing at STS?
Yeah, I had an artist badge, and then there's also exhibitor, and I don't know about the press badge, so Jack.
Yeah, so I had a press badge, yes.
Okay, so you all both got to bypass all the crazy queues and all that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Just got to
yeah.
go right on in. Nice.
Yeah, and actually, so that's one thing different shows treat or sort of handle press differently. So, like STS has a separate, at least they did this year, they have sort of a separate entrance. So you can just walk right up, get your press credential, and then walk in. And so you don't have to queue up in the big line that regular attendees do. And that's good because they kind of stage that line in the sense that, especially the first day, they let in a few groups at a time, and most people have to stand outside in like a big waiting area. And you can also get in, I think at least, Candy, it started at 10, right? Or did it actually start at 9? I'm a little confused about that.
I think the VIP started at 9, and then the general admission was 10.
Right, right. So there's like a VIP badge type 2 for attendees. And as far as I know, but I'm not 100% sure because all the information is in Chinese, I think the way that works is you can pretty much apply for that, and I assume it costs more, and then it's a lottery based on whether you get it or not. So if you look through like the lead up messages from Pop Mart about STS, there are these long like lists of numbers of, I think they're winners who get the VIP. So I think that's how that works. And press actually gets in at the same time as VIP, which is 9, an hour before. So that's similar to Decon. So that's really nice.
Okay.
Cool.
Teresa, would you tell me that VIPs didn't pay anything extra? They just had to do the lottery system. Is that correct?
Oh.
Yeah, so I actually know someone who attended as a collector and picked her brain a little bit just about the event. Yeah, she told me, so you're right, it was run by lottery, but VIP for STS is no extra cost, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
So you think about the 5 points or decon that we have, and I get it, it's a premium to do VIP, but the fact that they offer it for free and you just essentially try to have a chance to get it is, to me, really, really cool.
That is really cool. So I'm curious, your friend that attended, is she Chinese or is she a Westerner?
She is from Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So she still had to travel a little, but
Right.
her name's Vanessa Fong.
Oh,
I
do know her, yes.
Yeah. She's been sharing some photos of Toy Chronicle and whatnot and has helped me get a variety of toys overseas. She's fantastic, but she's super sweet. And so it's always fun to hear what events are like for her over there. But yeah, she filled me in on a few things. I don't think she won VIP.
How much is an attendee ticket for the event? Like a one-day pass or a weekend pass? How does that compare to the stateside conventions? What's the price?
I seem to remember it's pretty affordable. I mean, the one reason why I was asking Teresa about who her friend was in a sense, or where she was coming from, is as far as I know, and things may have changed, if you don't live in China or you don't have access to like Union Pay or the Chinese payment systems, then it's hard to buy a ticket because you can't send them money because like their financial system is separate from ours.
They don't use PayPal. They use Alipay and WeChat Pay like exclusively, and hardly anyone uses cash too.
Yeah, that's true.
Vanessa told me that they were around 120 RMB a day, which is equatable to around $20.
Yeah, it's
USD.
about $20. It's a little less.
Which to me, I read that and I was like, oh, that's not bad at all. And she's like, oh no, it seemed kind of pricey to me. I was like, what? It's like, how much are events over there? Are they like super cheap? And I think a lot of them are free or really affordable.
Maybe.
But to me, it sounded on par with the typical entry of a day or whatever for our event.
Yeah, maybe Asian shows are typically cheaper if she said that, because it does seem, the $20 does seem kind of on par with what we expect, right? So.
Yeah.
So, Candy, were you able to buy much there since the pay system is, or the currency system is a little different there?
Well, I didn't really buy much like at the actual convention in terms of toys and stuff, but like as far as just buying food and transportation and all those things, I would just use cash when I could, but also my friends that I was traveling with, they had Alipay, so it made it really convenient. They just use it for me. Okay.
So I want to get a sense of the scale of this event compared to, I imagine most of our listeners have only been to the stateside events, and there's some people in the Asian countries that are familiar and been to the Asia conventions. Jack, there's a storm going on over there.
Oh, really? I don't know.
I think it's just called breathing.
Stop breathing, Jack.
Actually, let's see if this fixes it. Anyway.
No, anyway, so I want to get a sense for the scale of this. So when I see the pictures, and Jack, you did amazing coverage of the event. I watched all of your live feeds and saw all your postings, and from what I can tell, this event is unlike anything I've ever seen as far as an event. I mean, it's closer to what some of the presentations I've seen at, say, like a San Diego Comic-Con, where some of the movie studio booths go really big and great presentations. But what is the size of the actual event compared to like last year's Designer Con? What is it? Is it as big as? Is it half the size? What's the scale of STS?
It's Designer Con on crack.
So you definitely need walking shoes. Can you see it in one day?
Yeah, I think so. It sort of depends upon, that's kind of dependent upon, are you buying a lot of things? Do you have to wait in a lot of lines? Do you have like a huge list of things you want to buy? If so, you maybe wouldn't be able to see all the booths in one day because you'd just be spending time buying stuff, right? But if you were just like, I'm just going to look around and I want to see every booth, yeah, you could do that in a day.
Okay. I'm still trying to get a sense of the size of the place, though.
So it's bigger this year than it was last year.
Okay.
Last year, it was 11,000 square meters. Don't ask me what that is in square feet. I don't know. But it's 17,000 square meters this year, and I did look that up. It's about 183,000 square feet. So it's somewhere in between, for DCon, it's somewhere in between Pasadena, and it's smaller than DCon was last year, 2018, which was the first year it was in Anaheim. I think it's on the order now of like 320,000 square feet. I'm not even sure.
That's pretty huge.
It's crazy to me that it's smaller than DCon because I don't know if it's the pictures or what, but I just get this sense that it's massive. So in my head, I was thinking it was huge, like towards San Diego Comic-Con.
So, some of that is, Candy was saying like it's DCon on crack, and it does feel like that way. And I think part of it is, and she and I were chatting a little earlier, I think part of it is, and you alluded to it, I think Gary alluded to it earlier, is the presentation is really just like you would expect. It's kind of like Comic-Con meets Art Toys, right? The booths are sort of next level, or maybe a few levels above that. A lot of the booths have like large life-size figures for people to pose with, nice graphics, built-out booths, not just fancy tables, but actual like constructed booths, right? The kind of thing you would expect at like a San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con. So that's part of it. And as far as well, I think the space is smaller and you're kind of surprised by that. I think part of the reason why it looks bigger is because the booths are really built out and bulky and impressive, and also because of the layout. So the layout is spacious, but much tighter than, say, DCon was last year, right? Where a lot of the space at DCon, square feet, was being used for wide aisles, right? So I think that's part of it too.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense. And I think that that's a good point. I mean, it's like definite eye candy. Like the one of the favorite things for me for STS is seeing all these booth photos, and it's just insane. I mean, and if we can definitely include a link to some galleries and stuff and some of the things you've posted for our listeners. But I mean, we're talking just massive, massive stuff. And do you know, Jack, like, is Pop Mart mandate that? Like, is it a requirement of certain people that being there? Like, do all booths have to be to a certain scale?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe Candy could weigh in on that a little bit because she had a booth or part of a booth.
I don't know exactly what the specifications were, but they did definitely want us to design like all this stuff for the booths. For the first time ever, I designed graphics for like the cabinet and the banner and the background. And I thought like, wow, this is as fancy as I've ever gotten, because I usually just have a table and put my toys on it. But then I went there and I was like, oh, everyone else has this crazy booth with life-size versions of their toys. Even if they had like a little tiny, like the smallest space for their booth, it still looked like really fancy and nice. I'm not sure if that was like a requirement or not, but it seemed like it was at least like encouraged, because I swear it was probably 90% of the booths had like this really grandiose presentation to them. It was very professional and polished looking. Like, the Funko Pop booth that was at Decon, like
Right.
how it had all these things you could take
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
with, all these statues, and it was like
Yeah.
almost 75% of the booths felt like that type of presentation.
Yeah, it looks to
Yeah.
me like it looks like Las Vegas of toys, where everything is
Yeah.
Yeah.
every booth is a photo opportunity to be had. It looks like.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like really
Yeah.
big in China to have the photo op stuff. They just love that. And it's like really smart for advertising too, because then when people take pictures with your stuff, they don't necessarily know what this character is or like what your brand is, but they take pictures with it and then they post it,
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And from a collector's perspective, that would be so much fun. Like it's just so fun to see stuff and take photos. And I know that some people like the sort of old school display of just like put stuff on the table, but it's so nice to see stuff visually appealing. And I also think it adds to the atmosphere and also
It does.
helps our scene.
Really
Like,
does. It
people
gets you
who-
excited.
Exactly. Like you go in and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like a giant playground.
Yeah,
And
totally.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Totally. It feels like that.
It feels like a theme park kind of.
Yeah. For toys.
Yeah.
One of the best presentations I saw was the Chino Lamb booth. He had like this rotating sushi bar for his baby sushis. Like that was amazing.
Oh yes, he did. With like a beautiful like resin fish in the middle, and then a giant, so he's got that, I don't know what it's called, I don't remember the name, but so one of the things he released in addition to the baby sushi, which actually released slightly before STS, was he has like I think it's polystone, right, of like a flying fish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty big thing, but he had a giant version of that hanging suspended on top of his booth, like above where the conveyor belt sushi was.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Other people that had that too. So one of the things, not too many, maybe there were like, I don't know, maybe 10 booths that had suspended characters. And that's partly a function of the fact that this year it's in the same convention center, but there's like 4 or 5 different halls in this convention center. And last year it was in the basement. This year it's in the uppermost, like on the second floor hall. And that hall has really high ceilings with like, for lack of a better word, like rigging that makes it really easy to hang things. So some booths took advantage of that.
How many years has this been going on? Because honestly, I feel like the first time I heard about it was last year.
So this is the second year of STS. So Pop Mart started with BTS, which is Beijing Toy Show. They started that in September of 2017. And then Shanghai Toy Show, the first one was last year in April. And then they did the second BTS, last September. And then this is the second STS.
I gotta.
they're pretty good.
It's for so new, but I gotta say, whatever Pop Mart is doing, they have some sort of toy magic, because they seem to be changing the toy industry as we know it, and plus what's going on in the toy conventions. It's just, how long it took for Designer Con to become what it is today, and it seems like Pop Mart did that in 2 years. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. They set the bar crazy high.
Yeah, I mean, they have set the bar crazy high. One of the things that I think it's tempting to compare, and of course I do that, and other people do that too. But I think also there's this question about, could Pop Mart, in terms of just the conventions, could Pop Mart have feasibly done this in the United States? I'm not so sure. I think some of the costs, even though it's definitely expensive for high-end booths and things like that. I'm dinging all over the place. High-end booths are
So popular.
Yeah, not really. I think construction is cheaper. There's a lot of custom construction on site, and that all gets done crazily. Unlike big shows like Comic-Con, where people have like 2 days to build out their booths, those booths are built, even the really extravagant ones, all that stuff is built out starting in the morning the day before, literally the day before the show opens. It's a little goofy and pretty incredible. But yeah, I think there's a cost aspect. Certain labor costs are cheaper in China than they are, say, in Anaheim. So I think that's part of it. But it is still really impressive.
The production is done there, so that's how they can build all these like elaborate booths and stuff. Like if they had to ship those fiberglass statues to America, it just wouldn't be feasible.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that makes sense. And I just like in my head, I'm like, how do we get this stuff to Decon or 5 Points or whatever? But as you all
Yeah.
are talking through this, right? It's like, oh yeah, like they have factories right there building all this stuff to use at these shows. But still, at the same time, I'm like, jealous.
Yeah,
All
and
the
they're
like logistics of just like me and Remji were talking about this. Like, what do they do with these statues when they're done with it? Like, do they just ship it to a warehouse and then they have to like ship it to another event or what? Like, they're so huge and you have to
yeah.
figure out what to do with that alone. And that's just one thing.
Wow.
The other thing, kind of, as far as comparing and booth presentation. So one of the things that I'm pretty sure doesn't happen at Comic-Con or these larger American shows. It's these larger American shows when companies have, like Warner Brothers or whatever, have these really crazy booths. I'm pretty sure that stuff is modular. It's designed off-site. It's built off-site, maybe set up off-site for testing. And then when they come in to, do the presentation at Comic-Con, they assemble it on site. But this stuff is actually built on site.
That's crazy.
They're like sawing and like painting.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to do that at Comic-Con.
No. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the
Hey,
key-
real
the-
quick, Gary.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious. These shows going on by PopMart are very new. Do you all know how long PopMart's been around though? Because I know for me personally, it's a newer thing. Like they've just sort of kind of bubbled up and
Right.
making all this stuff. But do you know how long they've been around?
Roughly, yeah. So I believe Pop Mart as a company started in 2010-ish, but it's a little misleading. So they started in 2010. They had a bunch of stores, and they have more stores now, but they were really kind of a general purpose gift store. If you look at their website, they still have pictures of their early stores. Their early stores offered a real mix of things. So they did have some art toys like Sunny Angel out of Japan, but a lot of it was like they had like fancy globes, of the world, right? And gifts like that, which they don't have in their stores pretty much anymore at all. It was only really late 2015 or early 2016 when Grant, the CEO, decided, you know what? He saw how well Sunny Angel was selling and thought, gee, maybe this could be a bigger thing, and pivoted the whole company away from a general purpose gift store and decided that their thing was going to be art toys and they were just going to push it as hard as they could. So really, they've only really been an art toy company since late 2015.
Okay. Which makes sense then. They've been slowly building it up, and they're obviously doing something right because I think they're killing it.
What they are doing, and I really do think that what Pop Mart is currently doing is changing the designer toy landscape as we know it. I think they're having a big impact on blind box and minifigure toys and that sort of stuff. So, but we can touch on another bit because I still want to talk a lot more about what you guys experienced at STS. So, you guys are talking about the queue lines and the attendance. From what I saw, it seemed like there were 5,000, 10,000 people just waiting outside to get into the event. So what were the queue lines like for this event? And like even before it started, were people lining up overnight, or how long were they waiting in line before they got inside? How did all that work?
I don't know because I didn't actually see them
Oh,
lining
Candy,
up.
you're so privileged. You just get to walk
But-
right in the VIP door.
I do know that on the second day that they sold out of tickets, so they had to stop letting people in at that point.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that's not too surprising. So as far as, I don't know if people queued up overnight, because that would have meant that I would have been there that early to see them, and yeah, I didn't do that. But the morning of the first morning, there were quite a few people in line. What they do is they sort of have this line, this queue line. It sort of looks like a very, cut down, but still kind of like theme park like thing where people kind of, it's a holding area almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of accordion style, a little bit out in front. And they only let in a small number of people, say like 50 people, into the most immediate waiting area that's like inside the hall, out front of the hall, but inside the convention center, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Most of the people wait outside in this kind of staging area line queue. And there were a lot of people there. How many people? I don't really know, but hundreds at least, if not more. it's really hard. Maybe Candy has a better feel for it, but for me, it's really hard to know, you know, because I don't have like statistics, right? Like how many people came. So how many more people they are or less people versus like decon, because part of that is so layout dependent, right? If you have a big open space, it's much harder to tell that that's the same number of people as the number of people in a more compact space layout wise. So I really don't know. There are a lot of people that go though.
I read a comment from someone that said I I got in line at 6 a.m. and I was like 2,500th in line or something like that. So it sounds like there was a lot of people waiting outside.
Oh, so actually, that's a really good point you mentioned. So let's see, on day 2, which was Saturday, I was kind of like confused and I got in the wrong line. I got in the general line. I was like, oh, this is a long line. And they handed me this number. And I think that may have been my like attendee number or something, for lack of a better term. Okay. And it said 4,044. And that was around, let's see, that was around, gosh, I'm trying to remember exactly. It was before 10 when it officially opens to the public. Wow. It was around 9 o'clock, I think.
Do you realize how crazy that is? 4,000 people deep of a line?
Yeah. But some of them have already...
So many people!
Yeah.
Well, it's China. They have the most people there.
It's like, you can roll to decon, and I was like, oh my god, there's like 200 people in front of me. I'm like, 1,000? Yeah!
Imagine your stress levels, Teresa, if you saw 4,000 people in front of you. You would be in complete panic mode that you're not going to get anything that you wanted.
Oh my god, that'd be nuts.
Speaking of which, there's queue lines everywhere. I saw you go inside and looks like everything has a queue line. Are people able to get mostly what they went for?
Wow. That's a really awesome question. I wish I had a definitive answer for you. Part of the reason why I'm not sure about that is, again, I mean, it sounds lame, but a lot of the information is in Chinese, not surprisingly. And most of the things that are the really hot things. So what are the really hot things that people queue up around? I mean, there's several, but the three obvious artists that really draw large crowds and big lines.
Can I take a guess?
You want to guess?
I want to guess. Sure.
Yeah, I want to guess.
Okay, you probably guess all three, probably.
Well, first up, I'm going to say Kenny Wong.
Sure.
Okay.
That's definitely one of them.
Teresa, you can have the second guess.
I'll go with Pucky.
Yes.
And I'm going to say the last one is Casting Along with the Monsters.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're still smart, Gary.
I know. We're in touch.
You are in touch.
And is there anyone else? Candy, who would you add to that list?
Probably Yo-Yo.
Yeah.
Yo-Yo Young.
Chino.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No
Chino.
Lamb.
You know what's funny? I was messaging with Vin of My Plastic Heart when he was there, and I think it was the first day. It was definitely during opening hour because he was sending me some photos of things that were going on there, some interesting toys and some lines at booths. And then he sends one of the Instinct toy booth, and it's completely barren, like nobody there, completely dead. I'm thinking, what is going on here? Either people lining up elsewhere, or it's just not that popular there. And then sure enough, and then 30 minutes later, I kid you not, he sends me another photo, and it looks like a 2-hour whipback line for a Disneyland ride. It's crazy.
Yeah, he and I talked about that. He showed me the picture, and I'm like, oh man, that's a misleading photo. I'm not sure, but I think the issue there essentially is they do lottos. Maybe Candy knows. But they certainly stage the line, so the line doesn't open really early in the morning for that booth.
Yeah, I think they go up and get a ticket, and then the ticket says the lottery's drawn at a certain time. I think don't actually know the process.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably depends upon the booth, right? And you have to sort of prioritize, right? Just like we have to prioritize for 5 points in decon as far as which booth we're going to go to first. I'm sure it's the same thing there.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, it's good that Instinct Toys is slightly later in the morning because I think the Molly starts really early. It starts basically when the doors open. The Casting might be slightly later in the day too, but you don't want them to all be the same time. Otherwise, if you want the Molly, then you can't get the Pucky or whatever, right? So that would kind of be a bummer. So they do seem staggered at least a little bit.
I like the stagger.
Yeah, I think people got plenty of stuff. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are bummed that they could get a particular Molly. The other thing is it's not like the popular booths only have like one release, right? Like there are a lot of Molly releases and a lot of Cussing Lung releases. So if you miss out on one, potentially you could get something else.
Now, is every booth massive a candy? Like, it seems like, primarily on social media, we're seeing the huge, just overly presented, beautiful displayed booths that look like they're out of Vegas. But how are the smaller booths? Is there a smaller section that's more like an artist alley that we know at some of the stateside conventions?
So there were definitely smaller booths, but then they still looked really nice. They looked
Okay.
fancy. But then I also saw this one little area that had a little tiny like standee where they'd put their toys on top, and then there was like a generic backdrop, or I think they could customize the backdrop, but it was about like a quarter size of a normal booth. And so they were all lined up in this one area, but it was a very small section of the whole show. I'd say the majority of it was really nice done up booths.
Okay. I want to poke some fun at Dan of Unbox, first off, because he comes to the stateside conventions and other conventions, and it looks like he just opens up a suitcase and puts toys out on a table. But then you go to STS, and he has this amazing Unbox cafe, what looks kind of like a restaurant, and
Yeah.
beautiful
Oh,
presentations.
yeah.
So, Dan, you can't be coming to the States and making it look like we see a weekend garage sale. We want the Asia convention presentation.
Do you feel cheated?
I
Gary?
do feel cheated.
Yes! I think here's the thing. Dan won't do it because Dan's like, no, I like the old school table approach. I'm like, Dan, the collectors want more. You
So-
go to STS, you have this giant booth with these giant statues. It's like, come on, man. Do it for
So-
us too.
In defense of Dan and Unbox and Leo, this is, I think, probably, I'm guessing, the fourth Pop Mart show they've done, because it's the fourth Pop Mart show. It's at least the third that they've done. And this is while they've had nice booths before, certainly, with display cases and nice printed graphics and things like that were sort of above, the decon presentation. This is really, I think, the first year that they've gone like whole hog, custom booth with like a theme. And I think they did that because, like when at a Pop Mart convention, that's kind of what's expected, right? That if you don't elevate your presentation in comparison, if you're a company like Unbox, you kind of look like, right? So I think that they kind of did that. But you'd have to ask them, but I think they did that kind of to keep up with the competition, really.
Sure. No, that makes
Yeah.
absolute sense.
But still, come on, Dan.
Such an enabler, Jack. Come on.
Still,
Come on,
where's our
what?
Unbox Cafe in Anaheim?
That's right.
Oh my gosh, I don't care how I don't care about the hows. I don't care how it has to happen. I'm just coming from the collector's side, Jack. Spoil
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I don't care about the finances making profit. Just wow us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what
hear ya.
was the so there didn't seem to be too much of a Western or stateside producer or artist attendance or representation at STS. I think there was you two were there, and Vin of My Plastic Heart, and I heard Toy Cube was there, and Kid Robot was
were.
there. They were through the Polyphony booth.
That's right.
But Josh Mayhem was there. Was there anybody else there? Was there much representation from the U.S. side out there?
It sounds like you practically named all of them. I mean,
I nailed it. See, I'm in the know.
Yeah, seriously. Does Course count?
Yeah, of course is there.
Okay, yeah, because they're always at these Pop Mart shows, and they have a really, huge presence there.
Amazing booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, their booth was stunning. Absolutely beautiful setup. There was a story I heard about Josh Mayhem. I guess he goes there from the States, and then apparently none of his stuff arrived or got stuck in customs and then sent back. So,
Got rejected by customs.
yes. That's crazy.
Yeah, so what I heard was he shipped it like ahead of time, and when the customs opened it, they saw that there was a Cause statue that he customized, and they recognized Cause because he's so popular now, and they knew like, oh, this is worth way more than what is stated on this form.
Oh,
So then
no.
that's what held them up.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, if it had been like any other toy, they probably wouldn't have caught on, but just because Cause is so well known now, that's what got him.
Damn it, Cause.
Bummer.
That's what happens when you get a $14.4 million painting sold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Ruin it for everybody else.
So
I
some
did
other
hear,
artists
though,
were
that
represented, but they weren't there. Like,
Yeah.
Jeremiah Kettner had a little section there, and Steve Ferreira, I'm not sure if that's right. He shows at Whoop Bear a lot.
Yep.
He was there,
Oh,
and
Andrea Kang had a custom space dog.
yeah. But as
It's
far
just
as
that
people
it's
being
hard to
there,
get
there was
out
a
there.
very small number.
It's
Smaller
like,
than last year, actually.
Huh. Okay. So then, with a little bit of Western representation that was at STS, how do you think it was received by the Asian collectors? I mean, I know here in the stateside, the Western collectors can't seem to get enough of the Asian product. We're clamoring for it. We're dying for it. They come to our conventions. It's a mad rush to their booths. But I really don't know how well the Asia collectors or the Asian market really feels about the Western product. So from your perspective, are they into the stuff that's being produced from the West?
I'd say not so much. It kind of feels like they're in their own bubble and
Okay.
they like what
Yeah,
they like. And especially at STS, I noticed that they really like cute things, like
very
cute
much so.
girly things, I think were really more prominent at STS and more popular.
This is the convention for Teresa.
Yeah,
I was just gonna
Yes.
say, it sounds like
totally.
I need to go to STS.
Yes, you would probably giggle and
Spend
laugh
money.
at every booth probably and be like, "Oh, I need this, I need that." Oh, yeah,
Oh, sounds
it'd be like
dangerous.
that. But I think Candy's like spot on. When I went last year, one of the things was, gosh, there's this huge line, and I kind of have this sort of handicap, right? Because I don't have WeChat Pay, and everyone looks at you strange when you pull out cash. In fact, one person at one booth literally said to me, because he wasn't from China, I forget where he was from, but he speaks a little English. He went, "Oh, cash! Oh no, what do I do?" Yeah, I mean, I think they have a very particular taste, and it definitely, Pop Mart's like sort of, it's not part of their mission statement per se, but they really intentionally, when they, worked with Kenny to license Molly from him and make the blind boxes that have gone on to be this huge success, they really had this intent that they were going to focus on the young female market, and that's who they were going to market to. So the show kind of has that feel to it, but it also is a statement that they were right? That's a consumer that is very eager to buy and is very excited by this. So that's kind of everything sort of flows from there in terms of what's popular and what's not. And I was going to say, even though I had a disadvantage buying stuff because I had cash, it wasn't too bad last year because the things that I wanted were not in demand. Like, oh, look at that cool urban vinyl. And people are like, yeah, huh? What? It's not rainbow and clear. I don't want that. So, yeah.
I have to ask you because I know you keep mentioning the language barrier, and maybe you're more used to it since you've been twice now, Jack. Is this was this your first time over there, Candy, to STS?
No, this is my second time.
Okay, so is it hard to know like what to do and where to go? Like, are you able to find where the bathroom is and like read signs and know what's up? Or if I went there, would I, struggling to translate and talk to people and figure out what to do?
It was kind of difficult. Like I'm really lucky that I have friends that I travel with that speak the language, so it's a lot easier for me to say. But like as far as like finding the bathroom, they have like the big giant signs plastered everywhere. But I was like lamenting over you mentioning the bathrooms earlier because that is one of my least favorite things about visiting China. They rarely have toilet paper in the bathrooms. So
Wait,
that's one thing you have to look out for when you're there.
How?
So sometimes they'll have like a big roll in the entrance of the bathroom, so you have
Right.
to like unspool some and grab it before you go in the stall. Otherwise, you have to keep tissues on you.
I want to talk about this for a while, and this is something to talk about.
But they even if they have a community roll, there's always paper, right? Or are there times you walk in and there's no paper at all?
Yeah. Sometimes there's no paper.
So like people have toilet paper sitting in their purse?
Yeah, and actually they use tissues instead of toilet paper.
Oh, that's
Right.
not enough ply.
I think part of the reason why it's pretty common, I think, for people that live in Asia to, I'm generalizing a lot, at least in China, and I think Japan too, to carry tissue. And the reason why is that a lot of restaurants don't really like hand out napkins. You're supposed to like carry your own. Yeah.
This is blowing my mind.
Now
Yeah,
this
like-
is helpful though, because if I ever go, I know I got to be packing
Oh, you
toilet paper,
should.
tissues,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, and you know, at STS at the venue, they had like the big rolls that Candy is speaking about in the front, and you would see people just like spooling it out and getting like a huge wad before they went to do their business. But at least at this other, so there was another show, Sofubi Forest, that they did very close by at the Mercedes-Benz Arena.
Yes.
And there's like retail shops in there. So at that venue, the paper, you have to get it from the front, but it isn't free. You have to pay for it.
What?
What is
Yeah.
going on?
I've
You
never
pay by
seen
the
that.
square.
I would not poop for the entire week.
I did notice that the Japanese artists, they'll be like carrying a roll of toilet paper, so they like bring it from home, I think.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they come prepared.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
That is so interesting. Huh.
Good to know.
Wow.
I'll pack clothes and a pack of cottonelle.
Okay. Well, this is the type of stuff I like to know because this is the first time I've ever hearing this. So this now I'm going to remember this for sure. And I think a lot of other people, I know this is something that we don't want to talk about, but this is good to know. This is good information that you guys are dishing out. So while we're doing this, I think this is a good time to take our sponsor break. So even though they're not official sponsors of the podcast, I feel like we're talking about them so much, we should give them a shout out. So Pop Mart, if you want to follow them on Instagram, they're under Pop Mart Global, or you can see them at popmart.com. And I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, Gary, where can we pick up some Pop Mart product here in the States? Well, I'm glad you asked because we have some sponsors that carry it. So first up is StrangeCatToys.com. If you go to StrangeCatToys.com, use our promo code Marsham at checkout, and you'll receive 10% off of your entire order. Also, there's My Plastic Heart. My Plastic Heart has a cool little brick and mortar location out there in New York City. But if you can't make it to New York City, hop online, go to MyPlasticHeart.com, use our promo code TOYFAM at checkout, and you'll receive not $75 off, but you'll receive free shipping off an order of $75 or more if you live in the States. And on the West Coast, there's 3D Retro, which is a very cool brick and mortar location out there in Burbank, adjacent California. If you can't visit the store, though, visit 3dretro.com. And then for all the latest and greatest in designer toy news, be sure to like and follow SpankyStokes.com and TheToyChronicle.com. And be sure to download the Toy Chronicle app. Okay, so we were just talking about if us as newbies, we went to China, we would be able to understand the language and how would we get around and all that other stuff. But really what's more interesting to me, it's just the payment system. It's like, it doesn't sound like cash or credit cards is really accepted there. You need to have the applications WeChat or Alipay, which is hooked up to a Chinese bank account. So how do you pay for things when you're there exactly?
It kind of depends on where. So I'm not sure if you're talking generally in China. Or
I'm thinking,
like
I'm
stores?
talking mainly just for the convention.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that's kind of right. So at the convention, it's interesting. It was a problem for me last year a little bit. This year, it wasn't so much, partly because I'm being picky about if I go, I'm not going to try to buy at a booth where I know that, I'm going to be turned away, right? If I know they don't take cash, it's kind of like, oh, well. But most of the times I was able to buy with cash this year, surprisingly. Part of it was just because I had other things, I guess. I had smaller bills, too. So I was able to get pretty close to almost exact change. And I would just say, like, oh, if it's like if I'm, paying over by like 2 RMB, which is like 40 or 50 cents, it's like not a big deal. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Okay. So they would just take the cash. So it wasn't too bad. It can be kind of bad in certain places. Yeah, it can be an impediment. So unless you have a friend, like at Beijing Toy Show, for about half an hour, I had a Chinese friend going around with me, and he was very cool. And he used his WeChat and Alipay to buy like everything for me. If you don't have that, it could be difficult. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so travel with a friend, preferably that has WeChat or Alipay and speaks Chinese.
Yes, definitely.
That would change the whole trip and just make it so much easier for you.
It really would. It really
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
These are good notes. I'm taking some notes here.
These are. Can you, not that, like, I could reach out to Vanessa maybe, that'd be fun to meet up, but could I get, like, not hire, that's the wrong word, but like,
yeah,
how there's
you want like a hire chaperone, someone to
like
do your
basically
translating.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
That's a
like
great
I could
question.
say,
You
hey,
might be
you want
able
to come? I'll pay for your ticket. You come in, but you would help me translate. You'd help me pay.
You might be able to, Yeah, I don't know why I didn't ever think about hiring anybody. Maybe I should just do that and make my life easier.
I got the smarts, Jack.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I guess in theory you could do that. The other thing that's kind of interesting that I don't think I've ever seen at Decon or 5 Points, but you guys correct me if you have. People at STS scalp tickets.
Oh,
There are
I have never seen that.
Yeah, so maybe scalp's not the right word, but there are like resellers, not official, they're not official members of the, they're not from the convention or the organizers out front on the corner selling STS passes.
Wow, it's like a sporting event. Hey,
I was
want
gonna say,
to buy a
it's
ticket?
baseball.
Huh.
It's not something I've ever seen, but I don't think our shows sell out.
That's true.
I mean, you know what I mean? Not like STS
Right.
do.
I was going to say, imagine if they were like scalping the VIP tickets, because you can only get those by lottery. So I can
Sure.
imagine
Right.
someone would probably pay a lot of money for that.
Oh, totally.
Probably.
That's a point.
Wow.
And the VIP, this is going to sound kind of whatever, but it's the kind of thing that, I care about and probably other collectors care about. So the VIP thing, not only do you get in early, which is super cool, but your pass looks totally different. So let's see, I think this is right, and Candy, please correct me if I'm wrong. I think the standard attendee doesn't even really get a badge. What they get is they get a wristband, one of those things they put on and then cinch on your wrist. But the VIP people, from what I saw, they have this cool badge that fits in this like cool plastic holder. It's like really neat. I sound super geeky, but it really not only do you have it, everyone that sees you are like, oh, that's one of the cool people that got the VIP kind of thing.
I didn't even notice.
It'd be awesome if it was just like a cool fanny pack, which isn't really that cool, but because you're VIP, a fanny pack is all of a sudden really cool.
Fanny packs are actually like in style now.
Yeah,
Oh, I read.
Yeah, like unironically.
Oh, I'm so old.
Don't even
You
know.
know?
Fanny packs are bad.
No idea.
I think one time the VIP, was it like, did it actually have a Labubu like attached to the VIP badge?
It might have. It looked like, I didn't see it in too much detail, but I did see when they were lining up some of the VIPs at the booth where they get their stuff, and it looked like they had some special things. Yeah. Fortunately,
Yeah.
it can't be too more. Yeah, it looked like they either got like, again, I'm not really sure, like a free gift or some sort of added extra thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jealous, Teresa?
Of course.
You want that fanny pack, right?
Heck yeah. I don't think you realize that it's a legit thing. Like Tokidoki has made some that I've been tempted to get, but like I'm still like, I get that it's back, but like in my head I'm like, it's a fanny pack.
It's a fanny pack. See, I thought the fanny packs were only kind of in if it was vintage. So I watched Slobby's World on Netflix, and then people go in there and they buy these vintage fanny packs from the 80s. But I didn't realize new ones were just as cool.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a thing.
That's a thing. What else did you guys see there that was different than what we're used to seeing here stateside? Like, explain to Teresa and I. Like, I hear there's like a gachapon area, and there's toy vending machines, and there was like was there like a skate park at the event? Like a rest area or something that had like skating or something?
Yeah, so there was, as far as the skate thing goes, it wasn't really a skate park, but I'm trying to remember the name of the company. It starts with M. They had like a skateboard thing there. They were selling some, I believe they were selling them STS branded skateboards.
Okay.
But they were also showing some of their other skateboards that were kind of, had a lot of art on them, or kind of interesting. But it was the display was sort of kind of mimicking like a ramp, but it wasn't really a ramp. I didn't see anyone riding per se. But it was really just a display. But they did have like a skateboard display this year, yeah.
Yeah, the skateboards are actually really trendy for this show. It seems like a lot of artists were painting them and selling them. And yeah, I was like right next to the skate park thing for a bit, because that's where they had the live painting. And
right.
You're right, like I don't think I saw anyone actually using the ramp. I did see some people just like hanging out on it, and like they had skateboards, but they weren't like actually using the ramps for anything.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll go out next year. I'll drop in on it. Sure.
Yeah, it was cool. And like painting skateboards is a really good idea because it's flatter, so it's more like a canvas
Yeah.
too. And it's fun to display it. So I don't know, I want to do some of those for next time,
Nice.
maybe.
That'd be
Now,
cool.
you mentioned you were doing the live painting. This was your first time doing a mural with actual spray paint, right? You and Remji were spray painting a mural?
Yeah, we did. It
How
was
was that?
hard. Oh, like I didn't realize your finger like starts to hurt so bad from like pressing down the spray can.
Yeah.
I had to use two fingers to like hold it
Did
down
you switch to
and
the thumb? You did the thumb. That's awesome.
yeah, I did. Yeah. And then like the next like 3 days my arm was sore from doing that
Oh
still.
man.
But it was fun because I airbrush all the time, so it's kind of similar, but it's really different techniques for all of that. So we just decided to go for more of like kind of a graffiti style because of the nature of the medium that we were using. It turned out okay. Like for a while, I was like, oh no, it looks awful, and there were all these people watching us, so it's like really
It looked pretty
embarrassing.
good in the end.
Well, we just kept at it, we were painting for like almost 3 hours straight, and we got to a
Oh,
point where
wow.
it looked okay. And then afterwards, what was crazy is that they brought in like a whole camera crew, and there's like a director, and he was like telling us what to do, and like he filmed us standing in front of it, and he told us like, okay, now you like motion for the camera to come forward, and then Remji like pushes the camera away, and they had these two people like holding up like fluorescent like UV lights and stuff on us, and it's like, damn, this is pretty professional. Like they hired
Yeah.
all these people, like a cameraman, light people, director, to film us with our finished mural.
That's awesome.
Cool. And
Yeah.
I think it turned out awesome.
It did. I really liked that. I mean, for your first time using spray paint, that was fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I want to go back to the whole vending thing because
Yeah.
I was seeing pictures of that, and
Mhm.
so not only was I seeing vending machines for like individual blind boxes, but I was also seeing vending machines for a whole case.
They're the same. Yeah, I mean, that's right. And I think normally, I don't really remember. Normally, how Pop Mart has it set up is it's mostly individual blind box, but some of the, selections or parts of the shelf of the machine are set aside for cases. They may have like segregated them, so there may have been machines that just did cases and some just did blind boxes. Normally, one machine will do both, but it's primarily the individual blind boxes. But yeah,
You realize
so you can
how cool that is?
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah.
Did they have a
Oh,
claw
I do.
machine for toys as well?
I didn't see that.
I didn't see any, just a bunch of gachapon.
And then the robo shops is what they call them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh my god, that's just, and I thought it was really cool too. Is just like some vending machines, right, where you can see the product. So
You can.
like
yeah.
up at the top, right, it showed all the different toys out of the box. You could kind of picture and see all the
Yeah.
things.
They have a display case, and the different machines have them in different places. I've seen them sometimes in the Pop Mart machines. What they have is, because the front is clear, just like a vending machine. It shows you the individual boxes that are sitting there waiting for you to buy, right? And there's a screen off to the side because it's all digital. And I should say the only way to buy that, you can't use cash. You either have to have WeChat Pay or Alipay, right? So bummer, sad face. But on the side of the machine, they have like a clear display case that has all the little blind boxes in it, so you can see all the figures, and so you can see what they look like. Yeah,
So cool.
it is really cool.
It's just I'm like, why can't I go to my local mall and go to a Pop Art store and go buy a blind box from a vending machine?
I think you need to move to China.
Maybe.
And it's becoming a thing. Pop Mart has them. Obviously, they have them installed in a special booth, area at STS. But they have them. Normally, they have them spread around in places where they don't have stores. They'll have the machines, so they can increase their sort of presence. But when I was walking around Shanghai, I ran into two that weren't even Pop Mart ones. One was at the mall right across from where Vincent and I were staying. GoCo or something. I think I posted an Instagram story. Same idea, different company. And then when I was at another mall, they had one that was sort of like said like Cute Life or something like that, and it was a pink decorated machine, but it had all sorts of, assorted cute toys, including Tokidoki that you could buy the same way. So it's really seems like it's taking off as a thing.
Yeah, I saw one at a movie theater too. But what was interesting was I think that you didn't get the toy there. Like it was basically just like place an online order and then it would be shipped to your house.
Whoa!
Oh, interesting.
Future.
Yeah.
Cool. Man, we're not cool at all over here. We're boring.
I feel like we are. This is the really cool nightclub, and we're like the old guys at the nightclub who just aren't in touch with what's going on.
Speak for yourself, Gary.
I'm going to talk to Pop Mart real quick. Pop Mart, if you're listening, Teresa Hawkins, she says that I never do anything for her. I don't give her anything for free. But if you ever need someone in the stateside to be your state representative or whatever, she knows cute better than anybody else. She's got her pulse on things. She's your gal. You should hire her.
Thanks, Gary. Maybe that makes up for our previous episode.
Oh, I'm going to cut this out.
Oh, well,
because I know you don't listen to the edited version, so, I just wanted to get it
Excuse me,
on
what
record.
do I do with my son for you? You take that back, mister.
So the Gachapon vending area sounds really cool. What kind of trends did you guys see that seem to be going on in STS?
Going back to like the fanny pack thing real quick,
Yeah.
I did notice that there are people that had like these clear fanny packs and backpacks in general, and then they set up toys in them. I saw this crazy backpack. I wanted to take a picture of it so bad, but she like walked away really fast. But it was a clear backpack, and she set up a whole like diorama display with My Hero Academia. It's like an anime, and she had all these like characters all set up like sitting in chairs, and like it was so cool. Yeah. But I did notice people also just had little toys sitting in their like clear fanny pack or backpack and stuff.
Can we make that? Can we mandate that to happen at conventions? Imagine if everyone was carrying a clear backpack. There's all the sporting events now with the firearm checks. You can't go into a sporting event without a clear backpack. Everything has to be exposed. But can you imagine walking around a designer con or 5 Points and being able to see what everyone bought that usually is hiding in a backpack? That'd be awesome.
See, I don't even care about that. I'm more freaking out about the fact that people are using these things to basically carry around toy displays. I'm in
that's
awe.
Awesome. I didn't see that actually, but that sounds
really
awesome.
Creative. I want to do that.
I will start it. I don't care if I look like a nerd. I'm going to figure out a way to have like a little mini toy display on me at 5 Points.
It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
See, aren't you glad you joined, Teresa? You almost didn't join tonight. You would have missed out on all of this.
I know. Here it is, past midnight, but I don't care. No, totally worth it. But yeah, what else?
Because there was something that Teresa and I noticed, but I want to see if you guys noticed it.
I mean, I don't know. For me, and maybe it's just because I like them, so I think it's a trend, but I actually think it is sort of becoming a trend in Asia in particular. I think astronaut toys and space explorer
Bingo.
toys.
Ding, ding, ding.
Exactly. You got it.
Like,
That's exactly. I've been
so
like.
it's not just me, right?
No.
No,
yeah.
Space is so in, and it's not just over there. I feel like it's the year of space.
Yeah.
Like it's back. Like astronauts and even just space themed things.
Yeah.
But it's a thing again. Like I have seen so many astronaut skin toys. It's not even funny, and new ones too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I hate it. I love it. It's funny how certain themes crop up.
Even ones that don't really seem to make sense. There was one that was amazing. I can't think of the name of the artist or the toy, but it looked like a sexy pinup girl in an astronaut outfit, and then the clear dome was a Mickey Mouse head shape.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah, Pop Mart posted that.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Right?
They did post it. Yeah. So that was. Let's see. That's done by. It's basically Cool Rain and at least one other Korean artist, and they did that as far as I know. They said it was released there, but as far as I know, it was a display, a not for sale thing. It was part of the. So Pop Mart is starting to do collaborations with Disney, which is really exciting, and they had an area where they showed other artists had done sort of like one-off sort of tributes to Disney, and that was the idea behind that piece.
Oh, okay.
You mentioned Cruel Rain and Korean artists. I heard, was it from you, Teresa, that it seemed like STS had a large presence, probably more so than Hong Kong artists. It seems like there's a lot of Korean artists there as well.
Yeah, I had heard that it was a good mix. At some events, right, it could be more select artists or only artists from the area, but it seemed like a lot of the Korean side of things was included in the event, which I heard was nice, and the fact that it just added more variety. But I don't know specifically, other than like there's a company I know named Song Song. I don't know if that's the artist or the name of the toy, but it just seems like some different characters and whatnot that don't necessarily tend to make it to those events were represented at STS.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's true. And in fact, there is a pretty big sort of Korean contingent, or Korean artists and the Korean brands are definitely represented pretty significantly. And they seem to, it must be by design more or less, the Korean booths all tend to be grouped together. And there's probably like, oh, I don't know, quite a few. I mean, I want to say 12, maybe more. So
Now,
that's really cool.
so talking about like groupings and booths and stuff, I'm sorry, Gary, if you asked that and I asked this already and I totally blanked, but do they have, like, you think about our events, right? There tend to be like toy booths, right? But then sometimes there might be like a pin area, like enamel pin section or shirts or whatever. Like, do they have those kind of sections at SDS too, or is it true just pure toy booths?
I felt like it was mostly toys. And they
Yeah.
would also have merchandise mixed in, but I didn't see any place that was like exclusively pins, exclusively like prints or t-shirts.
No.
Yeah,
No,
it was
not
the
really. It's
real
really a
focus was
toy
on
thing.
toys. Yeah.
Cool.
And that's a really good point, actually. So if you look at DesignerCon, I mean, partly they named it that so that it would be more applicable. Like designers doesn't have to be toy designers per se, right? It could be like lifestyle item designers or people that do prints, artists. Whereas not only is STS and BTS, not only are they like next level in terms of presentation, but they are intensely focused on sort of art toys. And so there really isn't like a pin area per se. And in fact, I was talking to the artist that does OK Luna, and he was saying to me that one thing he misses about STS and that he likes about DesignerCon is, DesignerCon is full of amazing pins. He told me that pins aren't really a thing in Asia, and certainly judging by STS, pins are really not a thing. Very few booths sell pins at STS.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in a way, I kind of think that's cool that they're really, they have a focus,
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, so I'm searching the hashtags for STS and STS 2019 and doing everything I can to see as much as I possibly can. And by doing that, I'm discovering so many new artists and so many toys that I just wasn't familiar with. Who did you discover, or who have you become a fan of from going this year?
Do you want to answer that, Candy?
Man, I'm trying to think of the artists right now that I had in mind. Well, I'll just talk about Mountain Toys in general.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
do you guys know about Mountain Toys?
No?
Okay, so I visited their studio actually after STS, and if you look them up on Instagram, they really don't have a very strong presence. You might know some of their toys though, like Demo is one of their artists. Yeah, if you look them up, it seems like they don't have many followers or whatever, but at STS, they are astoundingly popular there. It is insane.
Yeah, they were drawing a lot of people.
Yeah, and after visiting their studio, I kind of got a feel of like actually how big they are and how much they're growing at this moment. So it's just interesting because from our perspective, we look at like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and it seems like they're not that big. But then it's a whole different world in China, and they're using their own social media and interacting with fans that way. Yeah, they have a lot of artists under them too.
They do. They really do. Are they like a collective? It kind of feels like they sort of are. I don't know if they are, but
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, there's a whole team of people. They have a bunch of artists. It seemed like around maybe 10 different artists.
right. Yeah.
They were showing me some of their one-off auctions, I think for STS, and it was crazy. Like toys were selling for thousands of dollars at
Yeah.
auction.
What?
Yeah, they're really
Yeah.
popular. So if you're looking at their Instagram right now, the skull panda girl that looks kind of like a
Crazy,
like
by the
Space
way.
Channel 5 fashion doll.
Oh yeah.
They told me that that artist right now is one of the newest artists in the toy scene, but she's the most popular artist in China right now.
Really?
Wow.
What?
I mean, that's what they told me. So,
Crazy.
but she just started, this is her first toy, and they made, I don't know, like hundreds of these. They always sell out.
You know, I think it's really interesting, Candy, that you mentioned the whole social media following, because you're right. There are times where I follow these companies and I'm like, they only have like 1,000 followers, or like
Yeah.
they seem like they're newer, like I should be able to get their stuff. But I think it's really interesting that you say Instagram's not really where they play. Like they have whole other apps and social media, whatever. They're using a completely different world than what we're looking at.
Right. So at least Mountain Toys has an Instagram, right? There are definitely really cool things that you see there, and they don't even have Instagram. And part of the reason why is not only is that, you know, they're used to using like Weibo. I'm butchering it every time I say that, which I think should be how it's pronounced. All the Chinese look at me like, huh? And then they say it, and I could swear it's almost the same thing, but apparently it's very different. Yeah, they point at me and laugh. But what I was going to say is that part of the reason why not only do they have their own social media, you know that they have what they call the Great Firewall in China. A lot of the internet is blocked off in China. So in particular, Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, the Chinese cannot use that. They can't load those sites. They just don't load. They're all blocked. So for you know, like Mart, they have some arrangement. Other companies have arrangements. They have maybe partners in Hong Kong that do the Instagram for them. But short of that, like individual artists would have a very difficult time maintaining Instagram page without some outside help.
Well, they can use a VPN, and a lot of places have VPN built into their Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but I think that you're right that it's still pretty inaccessible for most people to, you know, seek out that hidden side of the internet for them.
Right. Kind of jumping through a little hoop there to try to do that.
Definitely.
The knowledge being
question
dropped
for you
is
all.
crazy.
Right?
I thought we were in touch, Teresa. Apparently, we don't know anything.
Well, we can only know so much, right? And the hard thing about these apps, right, is like, okay, I find a way to install it, right? But it's not in English. Like Jack's saying, I go into WeChat and like there's a few things in English, but then when I go to search, it's just a bunch of characters. I don't know those characters.
And that's probably how they feel when they open Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I get it.
Weibo is actually a little bit better than WeChat. A lot of the interface elements have, you know, reasonable English translations or seem reasonable. Like when you click on it, it does kind of what you think it was going to do. But once you get down a certain level, it's all Chinese again, right? But yeah, it's not too bad. I think it's easier to use than WeChat. WeChat is a little strange.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, and I totally get it. I'm sure they feel the same way. And I always feel bad that our podcast is English based, right? I'd love to be international. It's just we only can do what we can do, right? And so there's so many artists, so many people out there that I'd love to bring on. It's just hard, and we keep trying to yell at like Dawn or someone out there. It's like, let's create a Marsham International. Like,
Right.
Marsham
let's
Translation
figure this
Hour.
out. But
Yeah, translation hour. Yeah, exactly.
I'm learning so much from this episode. You guys are doing it. You guys are killing it. And like Mountain Toys, they were not on my radar at all. And I love everything they're doing. Like Jack, I hope you brought me back something from them.
From Mountain Toys? No, I didn't. I'm bad. My excuse. So one thing is, you know, I was kind of bemoaning the fact like you feel like a second-class citizen. You have to use cash, and people kind of look at you shocked, like, "Where's your WeChat Pay?" Right? Just whip out your phone. It's like, no, mine's broken. It doesn't do that, right? But when people ask me, like, "Oh, can you buy me something?" I'm like, "Oh, I have cash. Sorry, it's a huge problem." So I use it as a convenient excuse.
yeah.
What about you, Candy? What's your
It's
excuse?
fun.
Did you bring me back anything?
my God.
Yeah. Well, Mountain Toys did give me some presents, so maybe I could share some of those with you.
Yes,
They gave
please.
me this really awesome jacket with like all this embroidery on it. It's really
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Oh, that's awesome. So we talked about discovering Mountain Toys. That's a new one to me. Who else did you guys see? Or I'll give you mine. So when I was going through Instagram, I discovered an artist. I am going to butcher this, and I completely apologize. And I actually don't know which one is the name. It's either Minji or Kimongni. I don't know which is the actual name. But
Oh.
Are they on Instagram, Gary, or how did you find them?
yeah, I found them through an Instagram hashtag search. And so if you want to find them on Instagram, they're O_KIMMONGNI. So O Kimagni. And Teresa, you're going to love them.
Oh, this thing!
Yeah, I knew you'd like those. And so for the listeners, to describe it for you, it's just imagine this super cute cotton candy looking monster. And you just see like this big smiling mouth, but then the hands are covering the eyes. So you know how when you play peekaboo with kids as an adult, you put your hands over your eyes and you go peekaboo? That's kind of the feeling I get and the joy I get from these toys. It seems like they're playing a game of peekaboo with us, the collectors, and they're fantastic. And they come in like monster form and then also as like fruits and stuff. So apparently the artist is really popular and they sold out of their stock at STS. So it seems like they're doing really well. And I just instantly fell in love with this account.
Hey, it says if you want to order, send me a DM, Gary.
What?
Read the top.
Okay.
The top.
Well, okay.
If you want to order, send me DM.
Okay.
Monkey face, hovering eyes.
I'll do it. Thank you.
Yeah, I met her
Yeah.
actually. She's
You met her?
really cool.
Oh,
She's super nice too.
Well, that's good to hear. Her stuff is amazing.
Yeah, it's
It
really
says
cute.
everything made by hand. So she sculpted these and builds these.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know what I can't. I've looked at so many pictures and I do not know what the actual name of this toy is. She hashtags a lot of them as mystery_E. So if you just wanted to search that on Instagram, that's a good way to see a lot of them. But I don't think that's the name of the toy. Like the one I'm looking at is called Big Bear
Pink
Edition.
Bear.
Big Bear.
Yeah.
Huh.
Pink Bear.
Pink Bear. But I think that's
The
just for
one-
that colorway. So I think.
Oh, this person. Okay.
Oh, it just hit you.
I met her too. I met her. Yeah, I met her at the STS after party.
The cruise.
The cruise.
wait.
Yeah, it was on a boat.
Wait, there's an after party? It's a cruise?
Yeah, it was this
big.
year.
It was so fancy. They went all out for it.
Who's allowed to go to the after party? Is it attendees or is it just press,
I think it's just
exhibitor,
the
artist?
artists. Yeah, exhibitors, I think.
It's mostly exhibitors. Yeah.
How do we get on this list for next year? Pop Mart. You want some sponsorship?
Well, if you get a booth, you could probably they invite you, I believe.
I need to go to this convention. This is the convention for us, I think.
Right?
Other than
Well,
not
she
being able to
wanted-
buy anything, I think definitely something I want to see.
Definitely, yeah. And just so that everyone knows, if anyone like from the States is interested in going there and like exhibiting, they will help you hire a translator and also
Yes.
someone to help with the cashier end of the
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's
Awesome.
what I did last time. So that helps. There's still the problem of WeChat Pay and Alipay. So if you can't get that figured out, then you can only take cash.
Okay.
When they help you out, Candy, with the Pop Mart person sort of runs that side of your booth, the
Yeah.
payment side. They take the WeChat and Alipay for you, don't they? Or do you still need it to receive the payment from them ultimately?
They will, yeah, I think you can work out something where they take the payments, but then at the end of the convention, they give it to you all in cash.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
The translator that I hired last time, she was so nice and super helpful, and she would like order taxis for me and stuff.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
Huh.
I
This
need to
after
hire a
party-
translator. Did you find your translator through them?
Yeah, through Pop Mart
Oh, okay.
for the booth, not for
Right.
the after
Right.
party.
Right.
So this after party sounds awesome. We weren't there as listeners, so paint a picture for us. What was it like?
Magical.
Did they have unicorns that you could actually pet?
No, but there was free food and alcohol.
Yep.
That helps.
I mean, did they like decorate this cruise ship to look toy themed?
No, but when you're walking up to the cruise ship, there's like this whole wall that's meant for all the artists to sign, and then they photograph you like signing it. And this whole time, there's like cameras and lighting people like, hanging out, trying to like capture like all the events that happen. Because I think they like compile it into a movie afterwards
do.
or something.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Definitely. They
Interesting.
do a lot of they do a really good job of they have whole crews of people, not just for the party, but actually like camera crews and such. For the convention, I saw quite a few guys that I think had like Pop Mart shirts on, and they were doing like video early in the morning when there isn't too crowded, almost like before the doors open. They all had gimbals, right? The stabilized cameras and taking like lots of B-roll footage and things like that. So they do a lot of like media, sort of their own internal media.
It sounds like you guys went to a Hollywood movie premiere and not a toy convention.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the party was really cool. I mean, it's basically one of these cruises that you can rent out, and everyone on there was one of their guests, and it's pretty cool. They have free food and booze, like she said. The only real decorations they had actually inside the boat, they did have really cool, like hanging STS and Pop Mart signs, and they had on the top deck. So the top deck is open air. And they had like a band up there, but they also have what I thought was cool, but that's because I'm a nerd. They have these like spotlights, and the spotlights have shapes cut into them, the sort of lens or whatever. And it says like one says Pop and one says Mart, and they kind of move around on the floor.
I didn't
Oh,
know
that's
that.
fun.
Yeah.
That's
a
not
little-
nerdy. That's awesome.
Okay.
Ben, Clutter, you guys got to step up your after parties.
Right?
Like I said, I don't really think it's fair to compare them.
No,
but
it's
I know
not. It's
natural
not, but I
do-
love to tease them about it.
Okay.
You got this beautiful view of the skyline. It went past, like, was it the Boond? Yeah.
These really skyscrapers, but they have these really tall modern buildings, but a lot of them have really neat like lighting effects. And so at night, as you're cruising along the water, it's really beautiful.
Well, I'm sorry. This sounds like you guys had a horrible time.
Horrible. It was horrible.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it? What's your Yelp review?
No pressure.
Candy called it magical. I mean, that's a 10, maybe an 11.
Are we
11.
rating just the after party?
Everything, the whole experience.
STS as a whole.
I'm gonna say 9.5, just because 10 is perfect and supposed to be unattainable.
Oh my
right?
God, you
So
sound like
9.5.
my boss doing the performance reviews. Gary, you're the best employee, but I can't give you perfection because there's always room for improvement, is what he would say.
Yes.
Oh my
I mean, it's
No,
like the showmanship of the whole show was amazing, and it's all just this amazing spectacle just to look at everything. But then there's also like some shadiness going on of like some of these toys look really similar to these other toys.
Yeah, there's
like
a lot
people
of that.
copying each other. There's bootlegging. So like that
Yeah.
stuff wasn't cool.
That's a good point. That's a good point. There are a lot of things. It's kind of freaky. Like, it's a tough thing. Some of that's just there are trends, and people kind of follow those trends, and it's hard to know sometimes whether someone's actually copying someone. But in a lot of these instances, some of these booths, man, it really feels like this is just like that other person.
Yeah.
The colors and stuff and the shape, but they just tweaked it just a little bit, right? And this thing over here, isn't that just this? And it's like you do see some of that more so than at Decon, I would say. So I
Yeah,
mean, that's a good point.
Very much so. Like it seems like a lot of these are just people hopping on trends to make money.
Yes,
It's not an
yes.
artist who's like doing it for the sake of art and for like their love of the art. It's just, oh, we see someone's making money off of this thing. Let's do another thing that's very similar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Kind of what we see on Etsy a lot, right?
Oh, maybe a little bit. So, one of the things I was going to mention is in terms of like Kenny was saying, the presentation and all, it is pretty amazing. They have like nice graphics and all that. But one of the things also that sounds geeky again, that I think is really neat is they have like official STS shopping bags in different sizes that I think they give them to vendors. I'm not sure, but a lot of booths have them. And so you see people walking around with all these yellow, in this case, they were yellow Pop Mart booths with Pucky graphics on it. And it's like, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the branding's on point and a very well planned and thought out event for sure.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
It's not like, most
Man.
conventions I go to, they don't even have bags. You just walk away with a toy in hand.
Right.
Yeah, but some people don't like all of this like showmanship stuff. Like when Decon got all big and started to get more licensed stuff, I heard a lot of people moaning and complaining about that. So to each his own, I guess, because there's there's things that you get with these really well planned out and polished and well branded shows, but then you also lose a little bit of like the character and like the spirit of entrepreneurship and independent artists. Like a lot of these artists are signed, so
Yeah.
they're like
Yeah.
well taken care of, which is, amazing for these artists.
See, now that's interesting. That's something that we don't really see or hear a lot of here in the States. I mean, maybe it's happening, but I don't know of that many contracted artists designing for toy companies. And it sounds like maybe the Asian artists are almost like what we would equate to a band getting discovered by a record company, and then they get locked into a contract to make so many records over a number of years. So they're just obligated to make toys. Is that kind of what seems to be going on there?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Wow.
I saw artists that were just starting in the toy scene last year, and then this year it's like, oh, they have 10 toys and they have like a huge booth and they have, life-size versions of their toy. And it's like, how did
Wow.
that happen? Obviously, that, someone is funding all of this.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Never thought about that, but that makes sense. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was more obvious to me last year, but there were a lot of booths last year at STS, and maybe now they've just rebranded so it looks more like, an artist, but that were essentially like creative agencies or like representation that were like funding these booths and were sort of like supporting these artists. So that definitely is going on. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's actually a lot of artists that are fresh out of college too, and they're getting picked up right away and signed. It seems they're really seeking out like new talent right now.
That's so crazy. The idea of getting signed to it's like when you get drafted for football, you get drafted for toys,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. Why doesn't that exist? I want to get drafted for toys.
You want more
Yeah.
sports culture in our industry where we could have D-League or development leagues for artists. We could have companies trading artists with like seasonal trading deadlines and stuff.
Yeah, I wish we had that kind of culture over here. I don't know why it's not the case over here.
I don't know. Maybe it will be. Pop Mart will bring it. I don't know.
Maybe.
One of the things, I know we're going kind of long, but I just thought of it right now, and I unfortunately don't have a ton of detail about it, but there was a booth that was interesting. It was called PDC, and I'm like, oh, what does that stand for? So I walked by it a few times, and they had some cool toys in there, but then, it pays to read, right? They actually had this nice blurb in English on the wall about what PDC was, and PDC stands for Pop Mart Development something like that, or designer. Essentially what it is, it's like an incubator that Pop Mart sponsors and tries to grow artists that they think will be successful and support them.
Oh.
And I haven't had a chance to ask them too much about it, but that's kind of an interesting thing. So
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's get them on. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
No, well, and I know we do probably need to wrap, but the other thing, I know you shared that you shared a video you found that's a video of a video.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And there was, I'm sorry, I'm explaining this terribly, but there was a TV up at STS, and there was a video playing on Reel that kind of showed the behind the scenes look at all the different toy making processes that Pop Mart goes through. So
Okay.
like you see like their mold making and like watch a Fluffy House figure come together. And I watched the video and I was like, I don't want it to end. I want to see this whole video. Like I hope they put it out there somewhere. But it was so cool.
It's a almost 6 minute long video.
Oh, wow.
Jack, and we shared it in our
Okay.
Facebook group. But yeah,
Okay.
it's your behind the scenes look at the Pop Mart factory. So you're seeing it
Oh, nice.
from the beginning
That's awesome.
stages of sculpt and the toy go through the whole process all the way to the how the packaging is formed and all
that
that.
sounds rad.
It's really cool. Really, really
That sounds
cool.
rad.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I had no idea that they were hand painting stuff. So like one of the steps is someone literally with a paintbrush going in and applying detail to these toys. And like they were showing a Fluffy House toy being made. I'm like, I have some of those. Someone like I now know how this thing was made, and it is insane. And at the end of the day, it's like that thing was only $10. That's nuts.
Right.
But it's still very fascinating. All the
Yeah, sounds
processes
great.
and things in place to get these things out there. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how to share that video outside of Facebook. I don't think it came from a YouTube link or anything. So if you want to see it, join our Facebook group. Just search Marsham Toy Hour on Facebook, and you can see it there.
Or me being technologically savvy, I'll probably figure out a way to put it in the notes.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. Well, Candy, Jack, I mean, we're running pretty long. I need to actually cut some of this out, but thank you so much. And this has been one of my all-time favorite episodes. I've been doing this 3 years, and this has been one of my favorite episodes so far. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been a while. I haven't talked to you guys in like a couple of years now.
Yeah, I would love to have you back, Candy, and talk more about everything that you have going on. And Jack, you too. I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but you do run one of the longest running toy blogs in the toy scene, and that you do have some things and knowledge to share with us. So I would love to get you back on and talk more about that sort of stuff too.
Maybe.
Jack.
I was happy to be on here and talk about STS. That was
great I know.
I'm excited.
We'll work on that. Candy, I'll talk to you. I'd love to get you back as well. But otherwise, am I going to see either one of you at 5 Points Fest in a couple months?
Probably not me, unfortunately.
Oh,
I wasn't planning on it, but it sounds like several toy people kind of twisted my arm and were like, we're going. So I probably will be going. Like people that have never been before are going to be going, like Jones from Paradise Toy, and he also is Little Hut. They're going to be there. And Eddie from Adfuncher is going to be there.
I love how Teresa squeed at Little Hut being there, because they had a great booth at STS. They're doing great, fantastic stuff.
And maybe Casting Line.
Casting Lung astronauts, maybe? We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think so. But...
Oh, don't bust my bubble. Let a man dream.
But I'm probably not supposed to tell you this, but hey, whatever. I do know that Shoko is going to have a solo in New York.
Yeah, I don't think we can keep that in, Gary. I already have the scoop, Jack. I know about it, but I don't think we're allowed to talk about it yet. So cut that out.
Screw you guys. I don't know this.
Gary, I told you. It's the My Plastic Heart show.
Oh.
Well, I didn't say that
Gary.
part.
No, Jack, you didn't say so. Teresa got some early bird news to this show, apparently, and she was telling me that she needed to fly in on Thursday night because there's a show at My Plastic Heart on Friday. She absolutely cannot risk any plane delays ruining for her. So I knew it was going to be a big show, but I never asked Teresa exactly what it was. But now I know it's the Shoko show.
Anyway, cut all that.
Nope.
Anyway,
so we need to wrap this up. So thank you guys again so much for coming on. I learned so much from this episode. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it. But until next time, why don't each of you take a brief moment and let our listeners know where they can find you? The lovely Candy, go first.
I'm Candy Bolton. You can follow me on Instagram at Candy Bolton. That's CandieBolton, and also Candy Bolton on Facebook. Oh yeah, and my website is just candybolton.com.
And congrats again on all your success, Candy. Everything you do is amazing. So
thank you.
Jack, where can people find you?
You can find Vinyl Pulse, which is the site I run about designer toys. You can find it at vinylpulse.com, or social media is just Vinyl Pulse. So Instagram.com/vinylpulse, Facebook.com/vinylpulse.
Very nice. Jack, you're going to get that Lifetime Achievement Award this year, aren't you?
No, that just means you're old, so no, I hope not.
You deserve it. You deserve it. If anyone deserves that award, it's you.
Thanks.
Teresa, where can people find you?
If you all want to find me, check me out on Instagram. My username is tmhawk24, and thank you all so much. This was a blast.
Yeah, thanks for keeping Teresa up way past your bedtime.
Yeah, sorry about
totally
that.
Worth it. I don't care. Totally worth it.
I'm Gary Ham. You can find me at Gary Ham on Instagram or superham.com. Teresa, we need to work on our WeChat accounts, but until next time, this has been the Marsham Toy Hour. We do this every week, not because we have to.
Because we want to.
So until our next transmission, we're signing off. Bye.
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 Bye.